Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line. My name's Emma, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Ella.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, a little bit of a break from us because someone had to go hike through the mountains of Scotland.
Yeah. It was fun.
It was fun.
I went up the Old Man of Store, which was deceptively difficult. It was like 2 kilometers up, and it's a good job I had a new inhaler. She put in a shift because it was nice and flat for most of it, and it was like all a gradual uphill, and then there was like I don't even know how they were just like stone, like rocky steps that were really steep and really constant. And guys, I can't do steps. I'm not good with them. It hurts my knees. And it was cold as well, so my asthma was worse. And I was just like, it got to a point where I was like, how much do I want to do this? And I'm like, no, I've reversed onto a ferry and then driven an hour and a bit up the Isle of Skye just for this hike. I am not turning back. And I didn't. I also saw
Meanwhile,
the Northern Lights.
I've had to dig myself out of my own home. Toronto has been hit with a record-breaking snowfall yesterday. So my window right now, I'm seeing more cars than I've seen probably since in the past couple of days. Drive by my window, just there wasn't a lot of people out on the roads yesterday. A little bit more now that the plow's gone through a couple of times. But yeah, really just something else. Snow day for a lot of schools, but no snow day for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No.
I'm on fire.
You are.
With the segues. No snow for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they lost yesterday. They had an afternoon game against the Colorado Avalanche, and boy, like the snow outside, did they experience an avalanche. I'm on fire.
Oh my god.
As they lost 4-1, and 4-1 they're currently on a multiple game losing streak. I believe they're up to like 3 or 4. They're on 4th. I knew this. I'm double checking, but I think they're on a 4. I was looking at the standings today. They're on a on a 2-game losing streak. Oh, is that because one of them's an overtime loss, and so then it counts weirdly? I hate when they do that. Yes, it was. I think they're on a 4-game losing streak, but then they got a point against they got a point against Detroit. Yeah, 4-game losing streak because I got a point. I hate when they do that. That's so stupid. It's a loss of law. They're on a 4-game losing streak. And like the way I'm trying so hard to find a way to talk about this that's not just like jumping to the first news story that we can talk about, which I guess we'll talk about not Mitch Marner in the room, but the William Nylander, the bird in the room, if you will. Where yesterday evening, I should say, not last night, because the game was not played at night. Yesterday, William Nylander was caught on the TSN broadcast flipping off the camera, if you will, which, like, to us as adults, and to every adult who was seen reacting to it, absolutely hilarious.
Deeply.
Like, it's funny. We're adults. Like, we can see the humor in that. I think people also have to realize that people who watch hockey games is not just limited to the adults who exist on social media. And like, it's children. Children exist, and also it was a 1:30 game on a Sunday during a snowstorm. There was probably a lot of children watching that game, more so than you would at a 7:00 game, or Leafs are on West Coast road trip and the game starts at 10:30. Eastern, like there was a lot of kids watching that game, and I think what you have to remember is that like the hockey players are also role models for like children to look up to as sporting heroes. Like that's just the way this works. And I get a lot of people are like, oh well, God forbid a player shows personality. I think there's ways for you to show personality with that same opportunity. That's not, making a what is, considered by most people a vulgar hand gesture. Right? Like,
Yeah.
um I'm not saying like yes, what William Nylander did, hilarious. It's funny. At the end of the day, for us adults, it's funny, but there's also a reason as to why he then issued an apology on Instagram, which I will read because I have the screenshot saved to my phone. Let me just read this. Let me just read this here. This is via his Instagram story that he then posted, in which I am still not convinced that he wrote this purely based on emoji usage, because there's no way you're trying to tell me that William Nylander uses the crying emoji and also the heart hands emoji.
It's so. I didn't think it was real. I thought people were taking the piss.
Well, that's the thing, is like you see it, and those things where it's like the copy paste, like the copy
Yeah.
pastas, and then someone like
It's
makes it look like it was posted to someone's Instagram story. Like, you know what I'm talking about? That's what like it
yeah.
looks like. Because it also has the same energy as someone who's as something that was written by like a young like 20-something-year-old girl. Not to like genderize a statement and like put it
Also,
into a
we were quite recently 20-year-old girls.
we are currently 20-something-year-old females. We text like this.
Any look at any of our messages, and it's like, yeah.
But it's really funny because like he puts the screenshot there, puts a heart emoji over like his middle finger, and then the text says only love for Leafs Nation, blue heart, white heart, blue heart, white heart. Sorry about my moment of frustration today! Exclamation point. Didn't mean to upset anyone. Period. That's not a complete sentence, William. Looking forward to being back on this ice and not in the stands. Crying emoji. Love, Willie.
It's just...
Sorry, I'm supposed to read that out loud and believe that William Nylander wrote that. Yes, also as well, in case anyone was wondering, everything's in lowercase.
Which I think that just makes it so much funnier.
Which, like, if you go through any of Nylander's like Instagram captions, it's all in lowercase.
But there's also a difference between Instagram captions and
A statement? What
a
technically is a statement?
yeah, it's like notes app apology levels.
I'm just killing myself. I'm like what I find is so funny. The funniest part about this is the first sentence of sorry about my moment of frustration today, exclamation mark. That's not where you should have put an exclamation mark. Didn't mean to upset anyone, period, which didn't mean to upset anyone, period, is not a complete sentence.
No.
You need an article in there. Like,
send the man back to school.
yeah, no, really. Anyway, it's just
so
it is really funny. At the end of the day, it is really funny because of then the way, like when I first saw it, my first thought was the sound you just heard is every Leafs reporter opening up a new Word doc to start like typing out a think piece about this. And we did get think pieces about this. I think there was a headline from Sportsnet that I got as a notification that said like Nylander's gesture symbolic of Maple Leaf standard. I did not read the article. That was just a Sportsnet notification that I got. That's like probably a Luke Fox article.
I just think it's funny.
I
Yeah,
like I do.
I avoided Twitter. I was like, I don't want to see 50
And like
different guys.
there's two
Complete.
different reactions to this. There's like the reaction that gets really up in arms about it for the wrong reasons, and then there's everyone else who finds it hilarious. Because
Mm,
like people are like getting upset about this for the wrong reasons. The reasons why you should be upset by this, and it's the way that Nylander also addressed it, because he then was asked about it today by the media in a media availability, which like, yeah, okay, you are gonna make him available, aren't you? Um, is like, hey, so maybe you shouldn't have done this because there's a lot of children that watch your hockey games, and flipping off the camera is not a a good thing to do as a role model. This will, at the end of the day, is it that big of a deal? Is it that deep? No. Do I understand that TSN probably isn't really happy with him right now because odds are they got fined by the CRTC for this? Like,
mm,
probably.
yeah.
But also there's like people who like Sid 6 Arrow, by the way, is one of the guys where I was like, dude, calm down. He wrote this like big long thing about like how it's like indicative of like William Nylander's like leadership and maturity level, which I was like, dude,
Shut up.
shut up. Right? Because I think people are reading too deeply into it. Like, has no one ever seen a camera? And I understand like we're not held to the same standard as William Nylander is. Has no one ever like seen a camera and has just like wanted to flip it off anyways? Like a security camera or something too,
Yeah, I do it all the time. I mean, granted,
right?
I'm not William Nylander, but
Yeah, great. Yeah, we're not William Nylander, so
not
it's
quite
not
anyway.
not
Actually,
quite. So
no. We're not William Nylander isn't us. He
we're not.
wishes.
He wishes we're not William Nylander. So like you know, this isn't necessarily like whatever. Like it's a jokey thing. He's sitting in the press box with all of his buddies. They're all of them are hurt. Like he's sitting there with Chris
Mm,
Tanev, who's pretty much out for the season. Dakota Joshua, who only just started skating this week after suffering a kidney injury in Detroit. Not against it, no, in Detroit. Um, which is like that game was a long time ago. And himself,
yeah.
like he's sitting like, yeah, no like I get it. There's a level of frustration there. I do also think that, people who are just like brushing it off also have to be like cognizant of the fact of like why certain people would be upset by this. And entirely the reason you should be is because like children were watching the game.
Yeah.
Because all of us having this conversation on social media and about it and like writing these articles about it and everything are all adults who can find the humor in a situation. But like we're also not hearing from the voices of like 8-year-old kids who don't get a say of like or like parents of said 8-year-old children who are like, so
Mm,
I don't want my kids seeing that. I don't
yeah.
think it's then indicative of like William Nylander's maturity level or like his leadership qualities, or do I think like you should now trade up? Like, what? No,
It's like, I just don't think he thought about it.
no, I don't. Yeah, I really, yeah, I just don't think he was thinking. And like, I think then there were people being like, oh, well, they were showing the like that press box like 3 times in the last 5 minutes on the broadcast. They do that when like the broadcast is there's a break in play and the broadcast is looking for something to talk about. So they're like,
Mm.
hey, let's talk about the guys who aren't playing because obviously the ones who are playing are not playing very well. Because the Leafs, despite the score being 4-1, the Leafs did not play a good game. Joseph Wool
No.
like saved them so many times. Like the game could have been 9-1 for the way that the Leafs were playing
Mm.
yesterday, I should say. I'm so used to them all being night games, but yesterday. So, like, yeah. So then they're gonna talk about, hey, William Nylander's been hurt. Oh, we can show William Nylander in the press box. Like people are like, oh, leave. This is like looping back to remember like months ago that whole discourse about people taking pictures of Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini in the
Oh
Sharks
my,
press box
yeah.
during a game, and people are like, oh my god, their privacy.
It's like, dude.
Guys, they're in a public space in their place of employment in which they are like usually shown on television anyways.
Yeah. Like, I guarantee they were not, like, deeply upset about the fact that people perceived them in a place where they are very frequently perceived. Like, it's a shock to know. Oh, I forgot that happened. I knew peace briefly. But it's just not good.
Yeah, and like Leafs continue on a losing streak to the point that like today Leafs had a meeting. This is via Lance Hornby that the Leafs had a, and I'm trying to find it because it's like lost in my. Hold on. Leafs had a meeting, a leadership meeting today. Um, finding it. I can just look up Lance Hornby. Craig Berube said that this is via Lance Hornby. Craig Berube said that he met with the team's leadership group this morning as part of getting his message through about a better effort tomorrow versus Buffalo and the last 4 road games before the break. This group included the captain, alternates, and other senior players. So probably what you can include in that is probably William Nylander as well, Jake McCabe. I don't know Chris Tanev because he's been hurt. Like, I don't know, but he usually would probably be included in that, but because he's been
Yeah.
hurt, I don't know if he is. I'm trying to like think of other because it's like the problem is like now the Leafs are like considered old, so it's like yeah, so like you're obviously not gonna have Easton Cowan in the room.
Mm.
But I think like for me, what I was getting flashbacks to was remember in the 2021 like All or Nothing documentary,
Mm.
how they had that leadership meeting, like Joe Thornton was there. Do you
Oh,
remember what scene I'm talking about?
yeah. Oh my days. I'd forgotten about that. Oh, Leafs
And
All or
like that's what
Nothing.
I
What
got
a time.
flashbacks to.
Mm. But it's like, they played bad. Like, one of my friends on my course, she's very recently got into the hockey and for some reason picked the Leafs.
Decided to watch.
I mean, so did I. But like,
This is
she
what
was like,
happens. ITV starts playing so many Leaf games now.
mm, we just,
And then here's what we get is we get, oh yeah, here's the Leafs losing to Colorado.
yeah, no, because she spoke. I saw her earlier, and she was like, "Is it always like this?" And I was like,
I think I used to feel joy once watching the Leafs.
"Yeah." I was sort of just sat there like, "Yeah." I mean, if you just accept disappointment before the game has started, you'll probably be fine. And she was like, "How do we think they're gonna do against Buffalo?" And I just went, "On paper, you should win. In practice, who knows?" Goodness. I think I just sort of was like, don't hold out too much hope. But yeah, she's picked a wonderful time to get into.
It can only go up from here. That's
Yeah, I
not
was gonna
true.
say, if
It
she's
can get
decided to
way
start
worse.
watching them whilst they're playing like this, and she's like sticking with it,
Yeah.
she's
But
got the spirit.
that being said, like the Leafs, yeah, leadership meeting, which like I guess cool. Have the conversation. You should be having the conversation. Um, but also as well, like among this losing streak as well, Anthony Stolarz has returned to the lineup. He played his first game against Vegas, which was important for no other reason whatsoever. It was his first game back since November 11th. And what's shocking, I think, shocking for a lot of people, and it was Friday's game was his first game back, like back playing since his injury, but also he had a conditioning stint with the Marlies, but it was only used to get him extra practice time, and he didn't actually make any starts with them in the AHL. And Elliot Friedman expanded on this a little bit in his Saturday headlines the next day on Hockey Night in Canada, and saying that it wasn't necessarily because Craig Berube made a weird comment about it being like, oh, it wasn't my call. And it wasn't. It was a plan that was agreed upon beforehand. It must have been a decision made by Stolarz. And I think then through further days, we have gotten more answers as to why. And it was just felt more comfortable making the star in the NHL, didn't want to deal with the chaos of the AHL in terms of like unpredictability of what you could get, which is fair. Like AHL at the end of the day is very different. Like if you go to an AHL game, it's still quite different than the NHL in terms of like the quality of defense you may be getting and like the velocity of shots and the frequency of shots and just all these different things. And if he feels more comfortable, getting a start in the NHL right away, then it's all right. He played fine, a little slow to get into it against Vegas, but he obviously was, I don't think, the reason why the Leafs lost against Vegas. Vegas went into that game knowing they didn't want to lose and they weren't going to. Meanwhile, the Leafs played like crap. So,
Yeah.
what
Shocker.
can you do? Yeah, shocker, right? But and then I guess that kind of like goes into what we're going to talk about next, which is just like that game against Vegas was Mitch Marner's return to Toronto. Since leaving in the off season for Vegas, obviously Toronto had played a game the week prior in Vegas when they were on that weird road trip, and lost in overtime. But this is obviously one that I think a lot more people had circled on their calendar. It was made into a national broadcast game, like a special edition of Hockey Night in Canada, just for this game, which is, I think, a little bit ridiculous. Like, we don't need to inflate the story that much, because if you wanted to think of a similar situation, obviously not the same amount of time that he spent in Buffalo, but similar enough to be a highly touted fan favorite. Like Jack Eichel's return to Buffalo after leaving to go play for Vegas. Not the same level of like hype surrounding it as Mitch Marner's return to Toronto. Obviously I think, the boos were very apparent from the start. They even started at warm-ups. Which like you're going to get. I think anyone who has watched what John Tavares has faced on Long Island in the past, how many years has it been? 6, 7 years. I'm doing it I'm not doing it on purpose. Okay? I'm not doing it on purpose. You can't look. I hate that stupid meme.
So stupid.
It's so stupid, and it's had to like completely change the way I talk because I coach 14, 15-year-olds, and I'll say it accidentally, and then they'll all like laugh, and I'm like, okay, like at least you're listening because you heard me say it. But also
It's
like
so stupid.
it's so stupid because anyways, if you've watched the boos that John Tavares has received since leaving Long Island and coming
Still.
to Toronto, and he's still receiving them, like it's obvious that that is what Mitch Marner is going to face.
Mm.
Am I glad that he went to a Western Conference team so that we only have to deal with this sort of thing every like once a year? Yes. Um, does it also mean that I think the fact that he did get a standing ovation during his tribute, during the first TV timeout, um, is a sign of respect from Toronto fans? Absolutely.
Mm.
Because they could have sat there and if they really wanted to commit to it, they could have booed throughout the entire thing, but they didn't. And I think that shows that, like, I don't think Toronto is ever going to. It's going to be a long way for Toronto to forgive Mitch Marner, in a way, for lack of a
Mm.
better term. But I do think there might still be a level of respect there because
Yeah.
of how good he was in a Toronto Maple Leaf sweater. Now, people will sit there and argue with me about his playoff performance, in which I think, I think the stupidest argument that people have is that, well, he only had so many X number of points in games 5, 6, and 7. Okay, and how did the rest of the team do? Because
Mm.
was it just a him issue or was it a systematic thing through the locker room, which is an entirely different conversation?
Yeah.
Like, he still was a point per game player in the playoffs. I don't think you can ask a guy to play any better.
No. It's it's one of those.
It's one of those, but, you know, but yeah, so I mean, they gave him a cheer. I think I think it's going to be like a Vince Carter situation where you may have to wait 15 years and, maybe then people will be open to the idea of retiring his jersey. Who knows?
Mm.
It also, like, I don't know. I also will say a lot of the articles that came out in the past week about Mitch Marner were worded very weirdly. I don't know what the
Mm.
narrative was that they were trying to spin about it because they were all like very strange of like he doesn't have a home in Vegas. He hasn't quite settled into his spot in the lineup because he's been moved around so much. Like he's having to get used to living in Vegas. Whoa. And I was like, I don't know what you're trying to make me feel about this.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious he wanted to leave. He didn't want to be in Toronto anymore, which is fair. It's his choice. That's like the whole point of, free agency. Leafs are lucky they got something in return in the form of Nick Waugh, which is, a solid part of the Leafs lineup right now.
Mm.
So I don't know, like, what do you want me to do about it?
Yeah. Like,
Except sit here and
what
be
do
like,
you
oh,
want?
okay, like, cheer for when he comes back and, you know, support him at the Olympics.
Mm.
Right? Like at the end of the day, what's really funny is anyone who like hates on Mitch Marner right now and is a Toronto fan, odds are they're gonna be cheering for him in like 2 weeks anyways in Milan.
Mm. It's like everyone's
Right?
gonna love Mitch Marner.
When he's setting up goals to Sidney Crosby or like Connor McDavid so they can just absolutely bury the French team because I believe that's who they in their group. Like, yeah, you're gonna be cheering for Mitch Marner.
Mm.
You can't sit here and tell me that you're not going to be because I think that like all team rivalries will go out the window. Unfortunately, it was like one of those things where it was like watching Mark Stone absolutely destroy the Toronto Maple Leafs. I had to sit there and be like, damn, I'm really glad he's getting hot this time of year because I'm going to want him to be hot in Milan because otherwise I'm going to be calling him old and washed and a waste of space. So,
Mm.
And I think also, to lighten it up a little bit, Craig Berube is sporting a lovely 50 stitches on his head and a matching black eye to go with it following a gym accident. And I think this is funny. And I'm glad he's okay. Like, he's fine. I just think it's the funniest thing in the world because it makes him look scarier.
Like, you see him and you just go, I'm not gonna mess with that man.
Exactly.
Like, ouch, dude. Like, how did you do that?
And he's like not being open about how he did it either.
Which makes it's something really silly and embarrassing.
That's the thing is like honestly what we could just the fact that no one has sat there speculated as to what exactly Craig Berube did is like what's wrong with Toronto media right now. Like the fact that no one's been like, hey, what do we think what do we think Craig instead we're all focused on the wrong things, like William Nylander flipping off a TSN camera. Instead, when we really should be thinking about, hey, so what did Craig Berube do? My personal bet is that he dropped a dumbbell on his head, like he was doing like something above his head or whatever, and he just slipped and he dropped it on his head. But it's also the fact that he was alone and there was no witness. But also the fact that he's alone, like in the Leafs like weight room at Forward Performance, and like you just have to like deal with. There's probably security footage video of it. Who's gonna be the person? I'm not suggesting anyone does this for liability reasons, but who's gonna be like when
the
people
one
were.
big One Direction.
I literally was gonna say it's like remember when people were hacking into airport like security cams?
One Direction.
I
hate that our minds went to the same.
Who's gonna hack into the security camera footage of Ford Performance Center to see what Craig Berube did? Please. But Leafs have one more game at home tonight. Not tonight. Sorry, tomorrow against Buffalo before they embark on the infamous West Coast Canadian road trip. That either goes one of two ways. It either goes really, really bad or it goes really, really well. But also for some unforsaken reason, the Leafs will probably not play that great against Vancouver. The only thing now is like Vancouver's not good. So like will the Leafs lose to Vancouver? I just am thinking about like the first year of our show. Remember when they went on the West Coast road trip and they lost like 7-1 to Vancouver and we had to hear Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds of like 7 times.
Don't remind me.
Like that's the thing is like this West Coast road trip either goes one or two ways. You either get like William Nylander getting a hat trick in Calgary, or you get losing like 7-1 to the Vancouver. Like just it's either miserable or it either goes really well. And I think not to it's not I don't want to describe anything as make or break, but like the Leafs are falling back in the standings, from the playoffs. So they're now 5 points back of Boston for second in the wild card in the East. And like, the teams that are in front of you, you're tied with Philly. You got Florida there who's out of a playoff spot. Like Buffalo is third in the Atlantic. Like what the Leafs really need is like what the Tampa Bay Lightning had where they were like on like a 15-game win streak or something. You just need to go get hot and, have a really long extended streak of some really good hockey and they just haven't been able to put that together yet. Either like and it's never been a thing of like, man, only we had some goaltending. Like they have the goaltending.
Yeah. Like that's not the issue here.
No, it's not. They have the goaltending. You know, Joseph Wool and Dennis Hildeby, who's been sent down to the AHL. So now you have Anthony Stolarz returning. But Joseph Wool, for example, is at a .913 save percentage this season. That puts him 10th in goalies in the league behind. And like, also when you put that, there's like quite a few, like Devin Cooley leads the league in save percentage with a .924. He's also not starting every night. He's the backup for Calgary. So like you have other backups in here as well, like Casey DeSmith. But like the other, and Philip Grubauer, I guess technically is Seattle's backup, but like when we want to talk about, you know, guys who have been playing, you know, really well, and when it comes to like goaltenders, you got Wedgwood, who's in this top 10. I mean, you've got Wedgwood, Vasilevsky, Jesper Wallstedt, Logan Thompson, Ilya Sorokin, Igor Shesterkin, you know, and that's just save percentage, which like people could argue is like the same as saying, oh, a pitcher's ERA, but you know, Scott Wedgwood going to the Olympics, Grubauer going to the Olympics, Vasilevsky, Sorokin, and Shesterkin would be Russia's goaltending if they were going to the Olympics. No argument there. Logan Thompson going to the Olympics. Is Jesper Wallstedt going to the Olympics? I don't think he is. It's Gustafsson for sure. Sweden Olympic roster. I can't remember who their goaltending are. Oh no, he is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Slay.
Yeah, it's Gustafsson, Markstrom, and Wallstedt. So he is. Right? Like, obviously, there's some big names in USA goaltending. Like, not to say, man, Joseph Wool was robbed of an Olympic spot. Because look at because, like, the guys who are going to the Olympics is, like, Connor Hellebuck, Jeremy Swayman, and Jake Ottinger. And you have, like, you know, Spencer Knight, who's not going. Right? Like, it's just one of those things where you're like, wow, there is a lot of really good American goaltenders right now. Don't worry, Canada or Thomas. We're going to get there. But, yeah, I just think it's never the goaltending issue. And, like, sometimes the scoring hasn't been there, but, like, the scoring has been there. It's been some defensive miscues. You know, you're having a down year from Austin Matthews, and you're missing William Nylander, you know, quite a bit. Chris Tanev is now out for the season. That's a huge blow to your lineup. Like, I mean, potentially out for the season. It hasn't been confirmed, but you know, it's something to expect. And Matthew Nyes has been playing hurt through something, which, you know, you're gonna get to this Olympic break and you're gonna have, you know, a good 3 weeks to allow the guys who aren't going, which you only have 3 players off your roster, which is more than some teams, less than a lot of others. You know, you have Austin Matthews, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and William Nylander going. So, you know, you can look at potentially towards, you know, allowing the rest of your lineup to get healthy and, you know, take some time off. It's gonna be a long break for sure. Like they're not gonna be able to really practice for most of it. I don't think they can practice until like the 16th or the 17th. So but yeah. We will have our friends from the coast on at some point during the Leafs West Coast road trip, as we do, because it's like the one time a year where we're like, hey, look, the scope of our podcast intersect. It's like, finally, they're going out west, baby. So that'll be a fun show. I'm sure it'll be another long one as well. When it comes to some stuff outside of the Leafs, because there's only so much we can sit here and be like, man, Leafs suck, but like Scott Laughton's been playing really great because he has been. He has been, and I think, you know what? One more thing about Scott Laughton is like people were really quick to dismiss him and the price that we were paying for them, which is, you know, a hefty price tag there at a first overall pick and Nikita Grabankin. But what I do think is that, like, I think you're getting a big locker room guy, but also, like, you know, obviously he just needed some time to get used to, like, being a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Yeah.
And now he's, you know, kind of
Smashing it.
smashing it. Yeah. And, you know, that adjustment period is over, and this is the Scott Laughton you wanted and paid for, and now you've got him, and it's great. I just was like a little jump scared when he had his blueprint, and I recognized too many places that he was like, yeah, here's where I work out, and it's like the same hill where I would run cross country in middle school.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out.
It's all right. It's all right.
I have returned.
Um, yeah, I guess we can talk about some stuff outside the Leafs there, but Linus Ullmark returned to the Sens following his personal leave of absence that spanned from before, just after Christmas, I should say, before the new year. Following that rumor that happened, that we discussed it. I gave my input about it. He returned. He was the backup for the Sens game against Vegas, which is great for him to be back on that roster, back in that locker room. You know, unsure of when his first start will be for Ottawa, but we'll see then what Ottawa then does. You know, they're probably going to um hold on to Reimer then as their backup option then. You know, I think hopefully, you know, he can come back and play well. Um for them, and because that's kind of what Ottawa's missing right now is they just need a save, man. And some other news as well. Jackson Lacombe was named to Team USA's roster, as Seth Jones will now miss the entirety of the tournament due to injury, which is unfortunate if you are Team Canada looking forward to Seth Jones shitting the bed at the Olympics. But good if you're Jackson Lacombe, I guess. You know, the Olympics are coming up right around the corner. I saw a tweet that was like, oh, mixed doubles starts next Wednesday. And I had a little bit of a jump scare. I was like, oh my God, what do you mean mixed doubles start already next week? But we are really close to the start of February, which means we are really close to the Olympics. And the Olympics, it's exciting. I'm so excited. I freaking love the Olympics. And hockey at the Olympics is going to be really awesome with NHL players back being there. Now for the first time since 2014. Obviously, there's going to be some big names, you know, returning to the Olympics in guys like Crosby. I guess Drew Doughty. Sorry, I'm like trying to think Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Like, I guess maybe not so big names, but and then when it comes to first timers, you're having big names like Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, Leon Draisaitl, having William Nylander all having their first chance at an Olympics, which is going to be really fun. I think, you know, can't wait to. It's a really cute hat you got.
Thank you. I'm just testing it for size.
But yeah, it's really exciting. Obviously, I think Sweden has been hit with a slew of injuries, so it'll be interesting to see how they readdress guys on their roster. Um, but I am very much looking forward to watching it. Like, there's a joy in best on best hockey that I think we sort of got back with Four Nations, but I don't think it was the same because you didn't have countries like Czechia there. You didn't
Yeah.
have Czechia, Germany, like this time we will get to see Leon Draisaitl on a line with Tim Stützle, and I think that's going to be really fun. Like, it's always fun to see that, and I think people who like always argue against NHLers go like don't appreciate the whimsy and joy of having NHLers at the Olympics. Because there's an excitement to it for sure.
Yes. It's exciting.
But I am very much looking forward to the Olympics. Across all sports, there's a lot of exciting stuff going on there. But I'm just trying to like think of anything. Like this is the problem where we don't do a show for a while.
I forget what's happened.
I know, I forget what happens. It's like one of those things where I'm like, I think I have there's like a story somewhere, and then oh, yes, because we never talked about the goalie fight.
Yeah, we didn't.
Which is like, we have
back.
We are so back, baby. We have a goalie fight, which like, honestly, incredible stuff going on there. Is that game was just glorious for multiple reasons. One of them was Vincent Descharnais laying out Matthew Tkachuk in his first game back from injury.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's glorious. It was a great clean hit and just lays him out. Awesome. And then, you have Vincent Descharnais, with getting hit into the boards, and Nedeljkovic goes to stand up and like get into the scrum, and then you have Sergei Bobrovsky coming in, and the best part is like I can only imagine, as someone who's never put on a full set of goalie gear before, but I can only imagine is like skating down the entire length of the rink full goalie gear to like launch yourself into a goalie fight is like the equivalent of what it feels like to be like a human bowling ball.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, I'm back again. I don't know what's happening. Why does my Wi-Fi decide to cut out now?
I just said like, like in full, because I've never been in full goalie gear, like skating down a length of the ice to like launch yourself into a scrum as a goalie has got to be like the closest to feeling the equivalent of a human like bowling ball.
Oh yeah. Like
just great. And the refs let him go at it, which is awesome. Like you watch it, and just when you're like, take his mask off, his mask comes off. You're like, yeah,
it's like, yes,
take him down, Ned. Ned would win that one. It's just like great stuff. Going on there.
It's the great game of hockey.
Beautiful game, if they will. And then it like cuts to the Sharks bench, and you see like it's like all the young. It's the like because it's like, yeah, it's like Will Smith, Macklin Celebrini, Michael Misa, and they're all like losing it.
It's just wonderful.
Just the best thing. But yeah,
it also makes me wish that there were goalie fights in field hockey, because what I wouldn't give to just run down the pitch and pummel someone. And I think that's why I need to start playing rugby again. But it just looks so fun.
Another story that we can talk about a little bit is that the Bridgeport Islanders, which are the New York Islanders AHL affiliate, are set to move to Hamilton, Ontario, following the end of this season, which I think should come, like, maybe it's the fact that it's that team that's moving is a little bit shocking, but the fact that they are moving, that a team is moving to Hamilton should be in no shock to anyone due to the just due to the fact that TD Coliseum has finished renovations, and like the Brantford Bulldogs, now that they have, you know, Hyman family unlimited money glitch, aren't going to move because they're getting an arena renovation. And the Belleville Senators, it's been stated many, many times that they're not going to move back to Hamilton or going to move out of Belleville. They're going to stay where they are there in Belleville. So, you know, you kind of have to put a hockey team, you have to have a team in that arena in order just to like fill it and to have to bring in revenue through ticket sales or concessions or whatever. Like, you just have to have a team there. That's the way this works. And so, you know, it's gonna be Bridgeport because it can't, like, it could be a PWHL team eventually also who play out a TD Coliseum there in Hamilton, but like the way, I don't think, you know, arena owners and just the organization there with the arena, like with TD Coliseum, want to wait as long as they might have to on the uncertainty of potentially getting a PWHL expansion franchise. This way, it's, you know, they're guaranteed to have a team in there, which is next season, which is good. It'll, you know, as much as it sucks for Connecticut to lose another hockey team, it is great for Southern Ontario if you love hockey. It really, you know, adds to the density that is already here of teams. And I probably will go down to Hamilton for a day just to catch a game, just because why not?
Because you can.
And also it's New York Islanders affiliate, so they have a ton of, you know, young, exciting prospects outside of Matthew Schaefer there right now. So it's a good one there to watch. Yeah, I'm like trying to think of stuff to talk about, and I'm like not thinking of anything.
No.
But that being said, I mean, unless you have nothing.
I think we've got everything. I can't think of anything.
Alrighty then. I think then we can end this a little bit of a shorter episode here. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode. In the meantime, don't forget to find the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find the show on Twitter at From the Fourth Line. That's fourth with the number 4TH. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you miss the two of us between episodes because you think we're absolutely hilarious, or you want to just hear more of our thoughts or see more of what we get up to, you can follow us on Twitter at 60leafs or Ella at PRB1 for myself. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back on Thursday, and in the meantime,
Go Leafs go.
go Leafs go.